Court audio from 2020 reveals wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia said he hit her repeatedly. Shocker. From the Post-Millennial, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, an alleged MS-13 gang member deported to El Salvador, faces additional allegations of abuse after a newly released audio recording featuring his wife, Jennifer Vasquez Ora, pleading to a judge for a temporary protection order against him. In the audio recorded during an August 2020 court hearing, Sura had detailed the alleged physical abuse she suffered from Abrego Garcia, which included allegations that he grabbed her by the hair, slapped her, and hit her. I mean, slapping is hitting, but on Wednesday, he hit me, around 3 in the morning. He would just wake up and hit me, she told the judge. Sura said she attempted to escape after witnessing a neighbor walk by and screamed for help. However, the attempt was unsuccessful. She said Abrego Garcia then grabbed me from my hair and then slapped me, according to the audio obtained by USA Today. Is the audio here on this video, or is this?
Yeah, there's an audio.
All right, let's we'll take a listen to this.
I came to fill out a protective order. I think it was in December. But I didn't show up to the court because his family washed my brain telling me that his dad was sick and not to do it. So I didn't do anything. But after that, it was I would call the police. I have a lot of police reports. And I kept trying to get to the door basement to try to open the door, and then he pushed me. So then when I was able to go outside to get a phone, I called 911 from a disconnected phone. Now they took a long time to get to the house. It was probably 20-30 minutes. So I saw a neighbor walking his dog, and I opened the door and I was like, help. And then when he heard me, he grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me. And then the neighbor, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, all the bruises, because even on Wednesday, he hit me around 3 in the morning. He would just wake up and hit me. And then last Saturday for my daughter's birthday party, before I went to my daughter's birthday party, he slapped me 3 times. And then last week I did call the police. My sister called the police because he hit me in front of my sister.
Is anyone surprised about this?
It's a bad dude. Very bad dude.
Look, my opinion on this whole Abrego Garcia situation is deport him regardless of any criminal activity that he's had. The fact that he's here illegally is all I need to know. Go home. Send him out. I don't care. This stuff proves that he's bad, but this is all Democrat, Republican arguing over, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he an innocent Baba angel? Or is he a, MS-13 gang evil man? I don't care. He's here illegally. Send him home. This is why Donald Trump was elected. I don't see why this is so controversial.
What I think is crazy, too, is the Democrats have spent so much time trying to paint this guy as a saint. And he had a deportation order already. He wasn't deported at the time. It was, in fact, I think in 2019, the DOJ just decided not to send him home. There was an order that he didn't have to go to some place, but he could be sent to other places. So he's had his due process. This order to deport him has been there this whole time. He already went through the court system. This is not the case to die on, yet they've had how many Democrats have gone down to El Salvador to try and talk to this guy. He's got the tattoos that are indicative of MS-13 activity. He was picked up in front of a Home Depot in Maryland. What was it after his first arrest, 2019-ish. And that was part of local cops doing an investigation into local gang activity. That's why he was picked up there. He's beat up his wife, obviously, many times. And even when she was interviewed about it and she said, "Are you afraid of your husband?" She said, "My husband's alive. That's all I can say." After a really long pause. This is not a guy he's not American. He's already has a deportation order. He's a citizen of El Salvador, and now he's under their jurisdiction. How is this an issue for everybody? You know what I mean?
I cannot understand how Democrats continue to pick these issues to go all in on, that 10, 15% of their own party is excited about it or thinks that it's some big deal. To me, this is going to become, if they stick with this and they go all in the way they are, if they double down, if they triple down, this will become the issue that the border has been for the past 4 years, right? They're doubling down on the worst issue they have, which is the border. They still think that this virtue signaling is going to work. I mean, I don't think it's as big as the, transgender surgeries for these prison inmates. I don't think the Republicans will spend that much money on it. But if they continue this into 2026, talking about this guy, and all of this stuff keeps coming out, I just think it's one of the stupidest political moves you can possibly make.
That's why I love it.
It's sort of the phenomenon of like smelling blood in the water, a shark, just one drop of blood, and that motherfucker gonna go crazy. Just like people looking for a problem, looking for a Trump problem. There's a drop of it. Let's go crazy. And it's almost like you can bait them. I'm sure the administration's looking for ways to bait them to getting upset about things that aren't a big.
Well, I mean, look, but it's not even just the administration. There was that, what was it? The reporter that was walking next to Ilhan Omar and asked her a question, just completely and totally calmly normal. Wasn't some kind of gotcha question.
F you.
Her response was F you for asking her a question. That's kind of become the norm.
Someone replied to that with that video with, "Do you talk to your brother with that mouth?"
I love it. I assume she doesn't because, well, I'm not going to go there. Anyways, but yeah, this is kind of the norm for Democrats. They think that, it seems like they think that being edgy is going to win them votes because it wins them a popularity contest on the internet. It does energize their base, and their base is like, yeah, you're sticking it to the man. But that doesn't win elections.
They've learned nothing. They continue to pick these issues that are showing that I thought 2024, what got me nervous was, okay, they're going to move away from the crazy stuff. They're going to come out. They're going to admit Harris was a horrible choice. They're going to move away from the woke stuff. They're going to get off the border. They're going to say, no, let's have a sensible border policy.
Nope.
Just complete double down. They're in complete denial. And look, there's time to right the ship. There's time for them to pick a nominee or, have some sort of new leader come up. But it's just wild to me on some of these issues. I mean, even if you look at polling, and I think, look, some of them are learning. I mean, Gretchen Whitmer just did her little thing at the Trump event. She got it.
She hit her face, which was...
No, this was the new one. So that was White House. She hit her face, and then she got the backlash and realized, hey, I can't just be edgy, right? I can't just keep being anti-Trump. And enough people that are working class were like, what are you doing? You're at the White House. So then they had this public event, and Trump brought her up and kind of said, hey, do you want to say a few words? And I think that eventually... we might have to spoon feed them, but the Democrats are going to learn from their own voters that we have to have rational opinions. And to just keep being radical, they should have learned from 24 it's not going to sell. I hope they don't. I hope they, put AOC up there, put Bernie up there. But it's gonna backfire politically.
Well, that's the plan that they have. Did you hear Kamala Harris the other night giving her speech at the Emerge Gala?
No one heard Kamala Harris give that speech.
So
Libby.
I watched
you and 17 other Americans.
I watched it. I watched it because I cover the news. But she announced exactly who she thinks are the leaders of the party, and she praised them: Cory Booker, Chris Van Hollen, Chris Murphy, Jasmine Crockett, Maxwell Frost, AOC, and Bernie Sanders. These are the people that she mentioned who are like, the pinnacles of the Democratic Party right now. And all of these people, I mean, AOC definitely has some political talent, but Jasmine Crockett has no ideas. Maxwell Frost is an idiot. Chris Van Hollen went to El Salvador and he, to talk to this MS-13 guy, and he never talked to his own constituents whose family, with Rachel Morin, I think, murdered by illegal immigrants. He didn't reach out to her mom. Cory Booker, the last thing I remember about him was he gave that speech, and before that I remember he pulled somebody out of a fire in Newark. And that's it. These are your top talent.
Do any of them
And Bernie Sanders is 80 million years old right now?
Yes.
Do any of them have one single issue that is something that they feel like here's a solution or here is a bold plan for the future? I don't feel like they have anything they bring to the table except Orange Man bad.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they have. And now they're saying, that the America we're living in now is Trump's horrible vision. Well, we've got jobs up. We've got the border finally under control, which is, of course, why we had to bring Trump back again in the first place. He fixed the border. They destroyed it again. He had to come back to fix it.
Do you think that... Go ahead.
Well, Cliff, back to something you said about rationality. I think that a story like this changes the narrative quite a bit for a lot of people, at least people more in the middle. Maybe not your radical leftists, but this is something that happens a lot. As someone who worked in victim advocacy for a prosecuting attorney's office where there's these domestic situations that happen and, the wives of these people, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever it is, it happens quite a bit where they cannot they struggle because these victims want to come forward. They want to tell the courts what's going on, but then they're worried that the person that they care about will then be deported. And so they go back and forth, they retract, and it's this ongoing issue. But I think for a lot of Americans, when they see, okay, this really is a bad dude, I think that they're not going to be so much on the Democrat side of things.
like I said, I like the fact that they're taking these positions because they're extremely unpopular positions to take. And so I do think that if they do continue to stick to their guns and have these, extort these positions, then you're going to see, a lot of failure at the ballot box next year or in 2 years. And that's great. Like, that's what I'm hoping for, because I think the Democrat policies have been terrible for the U.S. But I do get the sense, I do have a feeling that they're going to figure it out. I can't imagine that there aren't people like Carville that are going to be like, look, you have to stop. Even if he's come out and he said, oh, David Hogg is a fighter. I know that he kind of bent the knee there, which is, in my opinion, a terrible idea. Behind the scenes, he's like, you can't expect to win with this. These are all 80-20, 85-15 kind of issues.
And the more Trump can keep them off talking economics, right, whether it's good or bad, that's what the election is going to come down to. If I'm the Democrats right now, the biggest missed opportunity is nobody is out there with some sort of economic plan that they're saying, this is how we're going to bring costs down. This is how we're going to control the inflation. And that's got to be their pivotal issue in 2026. If they pick anything else, those issues they're not with the American people on. But once again, I know they'll say, oh, some random Democrat congressman has a plan out there to, do X, Y, and Z financially. But that's the missing piece. If I'm in the Democrat strategy room, it's like, look, let's at least put something out. So if things do downturn, if things are not going great economically or people are struggling with the cost of food, we at least have an alternative. They're just playing Trump's game. They're focused on all the wrong issues. I don't want to give them too much advice, but that's the missing piece. You do that, then you at least have that Trump card to play when it's time in 2026. But right now, you're screaming about every issue except the cost of goods.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.